Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about a topic that I'm sure many of us can relate to. It's a question we repeatedly ask ourselves, especially when we're in the middle of an emotional situation. This is the endless debate, the brain versus the heart. Which one should we follow more when it comes to love, the heart or the brain? Often, we're told to follow our heart, to let emotion guide us. But what if following your heart only leads to repeated pain and disappointment? What if the answer is actually in logic? I know, it's hard. It's hard to think that we need to use our minds for something that should be purely about feelings. Love, for many, is something that shouldn't be thought about. It's felt. But in my experience, and from the stories I hear from you, there are times when using your brain isn't just an option, but a necessity. These are the times when we need to protect ourselves from deeper wounds, and the only way to do that is to listen to what our mind says, even if our heart is screaming something else. So in this video, we'll discuss specific situations in a relationship where it's better to use logic than emotion. This isn't to say that it's wrong to love completely or follow your heart. Our goal today is to learn when we need to stop, take a deep breath, and use our minds to make decisions that are good for us in the long run. Will you join me in this discussion? Let's begin. A breakup. This is probably one of the most painful parts of love. When a relationship ends, it's natural for our heart's first reaction to be hope. Hoping that maybe they'll change their mind, that maybe there's still a chance, that maybe one day they'll come back. Our heart clings to memories, to what-ifs, and to the dreams you both built. But this is where the brain comes in. The brain says it's over, that the breakup was a decision made, and you need to accept it to move on with your life. Using logic at this time doesn't mean you're not hurting. It just means you're acknowledging the reality of the situation. Instead of waiting for something that's no longer certain, your brain will push you to start the process of moving on. This is the voice that will tell you to block them on social media, not out of anger, but to give yourself space to heal. This is what will remind you that hoping for nothing only prolongs your suffering. Logical thinking will give you the strength to face each day without waiting for a text or call. The benefit of using your brain when dealing with breakups is faster healing. Yes, it still hurts, but you have direction. You're not stuck in a cycle of hope and disappointment. Instead, you're slowly rebuilding yourself. You're using your time and energy for things that will help you. Exercising, learning a new hobby, or reconnecting with friends and family. Accepting the truth, no matter how painful, is the first step towards a true and lasting move on. And that, my friend, is a decision made by the brain to protect the heart. Infidelity. Having a third party. This is one of those situations that will truly test a person's resilience. When you find out you've been cheated on, the heart's first reaction is an intense mix of pain, anger, and sometimes pleading. You might think, maybe they just made a mistake, or I still love them, I can forgive them. The heart, in its loving nature, might try to find reasons to stay. It wants to believe that it was all just a mistake, and that the broken trust can still be fixed. This is where your brain needs to speak up, and you need to listen carefully. Logic will tell you that betrayal isn't just a simple mistake, it's a series of decisions. A decision to hide the truth, a decision to hurt you. When a third party enters the relationship, the foundation of trust is completely destroyed. Your brain will remind you that returning to such a situation is only opening yourself up to the possibility of being hurt again. It will ask you, is it still worth fighting for someone who didn't respect you? Using your brain in this situation is an act of self-protection. It's not being tough or heartless, it's being smart. You recognize that forgiveness is different from getting back together. You can choose to forgive for your own peace, but the decision not to return to the relationship is a decision made to protect your mental and emotional health. The brain will give you the strength to say, it's over, because it knows you deserve a love that is honest, complete, and undivided. Leaving is not defeat, it is choosing yourself. There are times in a relationship when there's no third party, no big fight, but you just feel them growing distant. They're not as interested as before. Texts are less frequent, replies are shorter, and it seems like there's always an excuse not to meet. Here, our heart often becomes the fixer. We want to know what the problem is, how to fix it, and what we can do to bring back the old spark. We enter a cycle of trying too hard, chasing, and questioning. But the brain, if you listen to it, will tell you a painful but truthful thing. You cannot force someone to love you or stay in your life. Logic will make you realize that love should be given willingly, not forced or begged for. If someone is no longer showing interest, chasing them is not only tiring, but also demeaning. Your brain will urge you to ask yourself, how long will I settle for crumbs of attention? Moving on, in this context, is a decision rooted in self-respect. This is when you tell yourself, I am enough, and I deserve someone who won't doubt me and won't take me for granted. Using your brain to let go of a relationship that you're the only one keeping alive isn't giving up. It's recognizing your own worth. Letting go gives you freedom. Freedom from the anxiety of waiting, freedom from the pain of rejection, and freedom to find someone who will see your true worth without you having to force it. At the beginning of a relationship, we often wear rose-colored glasses. Everything is beautiful, everything is perfect. And because of this, we often don't notice or simply ignore red flags, those small signs that something is wrong. Maybe it's their extreme jealousy, the way they speak when angry, or their controlling nature over your decisions. The heart, full of hope and excitement, will tell you, that's just how they are, or they'll change, or that's love, that's why they're so protective. Here, the brain should serve as your warning system. This is the part of you that should be objective, that should look at the situation without bias. Logic will analyze patterns of behavior. Yelling once may be a mistake, but if it's repeated, it's a pattern. Forbidding something once may be concern, but if everything is forbidden, it's control. The brain will tell you that red flags should not be ignored, because these small signs often grow into bigger problems in the future. Using your mind to recognize and act on red flags is preventing greater pain in the future. It's being proactive in protecting your well-being. Instead of waiting for the situation to worsen, your brain will give you the courage to talk to your partner about it, or if necessary, leave the relationship before it becomes toxic. Remember, love should not be scary. It should not be suffocating. Love should give you peace. If a relationship causes you constant anxiety and fear, listen to what your brain is telling you. It's a warning you need to heed. Ultimately, everything we've talked about comes back to one fundamental concept: recognizing your self-worth. Many times in our lives, especially in love, we forget who we are and what we deserve. We accept love that we think is enough, even though, in reality, it's far from it. The heart, in its desire to love and be loved, might be content with fragmented affection, with good enough situations, and with people who don't truly value us completely. This is where the brain plays its most important role. The brain will remind you of your non-negotiables, those things you should never sacrifice in a relationship, like respect, loyalty, and peace of mind. It will tell you that it's okay to be single rather than in a relationship that destroys you. Logic will give you standards, not to be picky or arrogant, but to ensure that the person you let into your life is worthy of the love you can give. Prioritizing your own well-being is not selfishness, it's a necessity. When you use your brain to filter the people who come into your life, you're not just avoiding pain, but you're also giving the right person a chance to find you. Rejecting someone you know isn't for you is a strong statement. It tells the universe and yourself, I know my worth, and I won't settle for less than what I deserve. And when you're in that mindset, that's when you become ready for a true, healthy, and happy love. And that concludes our discussion. The battle of the brain and heart is a battle we don't need to win on just one side. It's not about choosing which is better or more correct in all situations. Each has its own role to play in our lives, especially in love. The heart gives us the ability to love deeply, to feel excitement, and to connect with others in a way that science cannot explain. It gives color and meaning to our relationships. However, the brain is our protection. It is our guide during times when we are drowning in emotion. It gives us the logic to see the truth, the strength to protect ourselves, and the wisdom to make decisions that are good for us in the long run. If the heart is the engine of a car that makes it run, the brain is the steering wheel that tells it which direction to go to reach its destination safely. Both are important. In the end, you don't have to choose just one. The best approach is to balance the heart and brain. Love with your heart, but decide with your brain. Let your heart love without fear, but let your brain guide you every step of the way. Because truly intelligent love is not just felt, it is also thought about. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned something. This is Rages Band 41, signing off. Until our next conversation.